Thank you to the American Philatelic Society for their support in the making of this video. For information on membership and APS services, visit stamps.org. This time it is a used pair of adjoined stamps that make their way from the UK and onto my desk for episode 17. I can tell that they're from the UK based on the silhouette of Queen Elizabeth II's profile on the top right corner, along with no written indication of a country, making it clear that these are indeed British stamps. Now, these stamps are used but without a postmark. Instead we have this. The stamps were cancelled by pen. Because of this, there is no date or location to examine. The value was 17.5 pence, and the image features an action shot of a cricket batsman in the foreground with a fielder in the background, a sport that we'll discuss this episode. The stamps were issued back in 1980, each one measuring 30 by 40 millimeters. Pen cancellations. Philatelists, including myself, get quite frustrated when receiving items in the mail that have been seemingly vandalized by a postal worker with a sharp pen or a messy marker. I have seen several angry discussions on social media through Twitter and Instagram when somebody receives such an item. I was actually considering discussing this more during the episode, but I've decided to make a separate video where we can tackle the pen cancellation dilemma and see if it's all that bad. So hold your thoughts, more to come. Now let's discuss the stamp. It came as a set of 4 featuring boxing, running or athletics, rugby and cricket. I love the artwork for this set. The colors and painting style really make the stamps stand out. They also came together as a presentation pack, and I'm always excited to get presentation packs because they provide information on the issuing of the stamps, what the subject is about, some information on the artists. Even though I like to get presentation packs, I tend to break them up and place the stamps with my other loose stamps and covers in my collection. But I usually keep whatever informational card comes with the presentation pack and store them with my stamps. Now, the reason why the UK issued stamps featuring these 4 sports in 1980 is because there was a 100-year milestone associated with each of the sports in the country's history. The Amateur Boxing Association was founded in February of 1880. In April of 1880, the Amateur Athletic Association was founded. The Welsh Rugby Union was formed during the 1880-81 season. And while cricket has its origins back in the late 16th century, the format of an international test match was taking shape around this time. 3 years earlier was the first official game in Australia, but the first test game played in England against Australia was in September of 1880. So it's a celebration of sport and an indication that a lot had happened to individual and team sports 100 years prior to the issuing of these stamps. The late 1800s saw several changes to sports that helped to structure and organize them. Even in the United States, American football that started to take shape in the 1860s had the rules completely rewritten in 1880 that shaped it to what we are more familiar with today. So it was an important time for the organization of several sports. Now, understand that many of you are passionate about cricket. Many of you are not. Some of you don't even know what it is. And that is because while it is considered to be a global sport, it's primarily played by England and countries that are or were part of the British Commonwealth, namely Australia, New Zealand, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, South Africa and Zimbabwe, several countries in the Caribbean, and some others. So how do you play it? Well, it's super simple.
Cricket is a lovely game played between 2 sides of 11 players. The goal is to get the most runs at the end of the match. One side bowls the ball while the other side hits it, called batting. Runs are scored by running across the cricket pitch. The LBW or leg. An off-break delivery is different from the leg break delivery, which is also different from the googly, which is similar but also very different.
You know what, forget it. It's not that simple. There's no way we could go over the rules for cricket in a stamp collecting video. Just know that it is a bat and ball game where teams compete in scoring the most runs, and there are several formats of the game, including a test match, for instance, that can last up to 5 days. There's also a one-day format and one that can last just a few hours. What you should also know is that it is one of the most watched sports on the planet, second only to soccer. That's right, it has an estimated global following of 2.5 billion people, and that number is continuing to grow as seen through viewership numbers and subscriptions to global tournaments and World Cups. Actually, a little fun fact for the American viewers is that cricket was once one of the most popular sports in the country, from the colonial days right until the Civil War. And the very first international cricket match to ever take place happened in New York City between the US and Canada in 1844. Now, full disclosure, cricket is one of the topics that I enjoy collecting. I have a couple of topics that I collect, and this is one that I started a while back. I've been gathering cricket stamps and placing them in the stockbook album for now, and the only reason why I did not have the stamp that I pulled from the box in this album is because of the pen cancel. So why cricket? Well, it's my other passion. I played it growing up in school as well as in clubs later on, and from 5-day test matches to one-day internationals, I have traveled to watch games around the world. Yes, the green mohawk. How else am I going to rally the crowd and start the wave? I've also met a number of players. I've snuck into black tie events, as well as bumped into them on vacation and asked for some bowling advice. Anyway, you could choose to collect a topic that you have a very strong connection with, such as my love for cricket, or completely opposite, something that you do not have a connection with and you don't know much about. It is always interesting to find out from collectors the reasoning behind their collections. It can be just as interesting as the collection itself. I've spoken about topical collecting before, but just to give you an idea about my style and approach, I get a checklist from the American Topical Association that I'm a member of. And as I find and obtain stamps, I highlight and mark them off. I'm about 30% through this list, and I'm in no rush. I like to take my time with this. It's something I work on at stamp shows or occasionally looking for deals online and through eBay. Sometimes I look for both a used and mint version of the stamp. Sometimes I look for a first day cover or get them in blocks. When I get closer to completing this checklist, I'll definitely look for a better way to present this collection. At the moment, I'm still in the gathering stage and I'm enjoying it. So more about my topic. There's been over 300 stamps that have been issued featuring cricket. The first cricket stamp was issued by Cape Verde in 1962. Not a country associated with cricket. There have been some beautiful ones featuring the village greens to stadiums to the equipment, trophies and victories from all over the world since then. And these ones were issued by the Royal Mail in 2019 to celebrate both the men's and women's Cricket World Cup victories, an international tournament that happens every 4 years. This mini sheet is featuring the Ashes. Perhaps the most well-known international rivalry in cricket is between Australia and England. They compete for this little urn that is supposedly filled with the ashes of a cricket bale, a tradition that has its origins from an 1882 game where Australia beat England, causing a British newspaper to publish an obituary for the death of cricket. And although this is not the official trophy, it was later adopted as a symbol of the rivalry and really serves as the bragging rights for the country that holds the title. I just love traditions such as this one. As you've already seen, some of the big cricketing nations along with the smaller ones, and nations not even known for cricket, have issued some fun and exciting cricket stamps. One thing that I need to call out is that several of the Caribbean nations play together under one name in the international arena, the West Indies. That comprises of Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and so on. So while they are one international team, it's several countries, and so you'll find plenty of cricket stamps from the Caribbean. In some cases, they've jointly issued stamps. These particular ones are commemorating their World Cup victory in 1975. One comical and fun aspect of topical collecting is the associated stamps. Stamps that don't actually feature the topic, but are connected in some other way. This Falkland Islands stamp featuring the Great Britain steamship shows up on the ATA's checklist for cricket stamps, and that is because it carried the English cricket team to Australia. There are also Olympic stamps that are on the checklist because they feature a stadium that is used for cricket. Mascots or emblems containing imagery of flowers or animals could also be fair game for collecting. The South African cricket team is known as the Proteas. Does that mean I should collect every stamp that features a Protea flower on it? No, of course not. You have to set the boundaries somewhere, and it's entirely up to you. A fun claim by cricket topical collectors is that the first cricket stamp should actually go to Greece for their Olympic series in 1906 depicting Apollo throwing a discus. Many cricket enthusiasts claim that Apollo strangely looks like he's bowling right arm over the wicket, and I must agree. To me, he doesn't look like he's throwing a discus. This is throwing a discus. This one definitely looks more like cricket. So maybe we can say that Greece, a non-cricketing nation, issued the first cricket stamp. Now, several viewers have caught on from subtle hints in the videos, comments, and social media that I collect and enjoy cricket, and some of you have sent me items, including an Australian sending me these maxi cards featuring Donald Bradman, an Australian legend said to be the greatest batsman of his time. A maxi card or maximum card is a postcard where the postage stamp is placed on the picture side of the postcard and cancelled. This can be a great item to collect because it brings three elements together in a simple display, that being of the postcard image, the stamp, and the cancellation postmark, all in maximum concordance, hence maximum card, meaning that they're all related to a single topic. In this case, the postcard consisting of Australian legend Donald Bradman has a Donald Bradman stamp and also the first day postmark. Not too dissimilar from an FTC or any cover with a cachet that brings those elements together as well, but it's a postcard giving the opportunity for a photograph or glossy image. I have another example from Barbados, a country that is part of the West Indies, featuring another legend. Of course, each of the individual island nations eagerly display the players originating from their islands on postal stationery and stamps. In this case, Barbadian or Bayesian legend Sir Garfield Sobers is on the postcard. The same image is featured on the Barbados cricket stamp, with postmark on the first day of issue on the 2nd of December 1966. And taking it one step further, there is his autograph on the card. Pretty cool. Of course, Barbados. That is where I made my camera debut.
Nice to see a good buzzing crowd in Barbados. This is going to be some atmosphere today.
Don't quite remember it like that, but I did make it onto the Caribbean news. Let me know in the comments if you have and collect maxi cards. And for those of you who are collecting topics, do you have a connection to the topic that you're collecting, or did you select a topic with no connection but using the stamps to learn about it? Let me know more. As always, thanks for watching. Happy exploring.